I am the brainless but rich villainess. I'm the kind of beautiful but empty-headed antagonist assigned by the system to sabotage the relationship of the two main characters. So, I marched into the homeroom teacher's office and loudly declared, "Teacher, I'd like to report something. Someone is dating too early." Immediately, the homeroom teacher flew into a rage. "Chloe, you've reported this 800 times already. What does the top student and the second best student in school dating have to do with a bottom-of-the-class student like you?" I silently stared at the teacher, then pulled out my phone, turned on the recording mode, and calmly said, "Go on, say that again." "Say what you want to say. Chloe, how dare you bring your phone to school?" "Confiscated, mission failed, phone lost, how annoying." I returned to class and saw Ava, the female lead of this story. Before, I never understood why those wicked supporting female characters always hated the White Lotus female leads. Now I get it. She did nothing, yet she effortlessly caused me to lose my phone. I must get revenge. "What are you doing?" "I'm solving this Olympic math problem. It's so hard. I've been thinking forever and still can't find a third solution. Do you know it?" See, there's a reason I hate her. First, she's solving an Olympic math problem. Second, she's trying to find a third solution. Third, she even asked me if I knew it. What a despicable green tea bitch. I snatched the workbook from her hand, flipping through a few pages. What's there to pretend about? The answers are all in the back. What kind of studying is this? And you dare to brag about thinking of a third solution? Let me read out the answer and see if she can still keep up her act. Let me see. Omit her head. How can she omit such a difficult problem? Money is this easy to earn, yet I don't know how to take advantage of it. Ava rested her chin on her hand, pouting as she looked at me. Why aren't you saying anything anymore? The entire class turned to look at us. Pushed to the brink, my dark side awakened. I took a gamble. I ripped out the answer page from the workbook. I truly am too malicious. Without the answers, she'd have to figure out the problems on her own. Encountering difficult problems she couldn't solve would make her sad, then gradually doubt her own abilities, and eventually she might even develop the bad habit of cheating. Who knows, she might even drop out later. Oh, so good at pretending, huh? Well, then don't ever look at the answers again. I casually threw the workbook out the door. Ava was clearly startled by me, stammering, "No, this is my classmate's workbook." A disagreeable sound came from behind. I turned my head. It was Ethan, the male lead. Backlit, his youthful figure radiated a fresh aura, destined to suffer from blind love and be hurt by stubborn resentment. Honestly, I couldn't understand if love and hate were truly like that. Ethan interrupted my thoughts. "Hey, who just threw my workbook out?" As a wicked supporting female character, one must, of course, have the ultimate skill of blaming others. I saw Ava throw it. It was her. Over 30 pairs of eyes in the class unanimously turned to me. Ethan frowned slightly, picked up the workbook, and walked towards me. Closer and closer until he was right in front of me. He leaned in slightly, as if to take my hand. Oh no, this is it. I'm going to fall in love too early. The dragon slayer had finally turned into an evil dragon. Sure enough, as long as I successfully sabotaged the female lead, the male lead would turn to admire me. This truly is the competitive world of women. "Chloe, you're still holding my answer sheet." Ethan calmly retrieved the crumpled answer sheet from my hand. The entire class burst into laughter. I felt a little flustered. Fine, if that's how it is, I'll go all out. I sat on the floor, clinging tightly to his leg, and began to wail loudly. "You don't know, it was clearly her who threw your workbook. I only managed to save the answer sheet. Believe me, why don't you believe me?" Ethan looked down at me, a little awkward. "It's just a workbook. Even if you threw it, there's no need to make such a big deal out of it." I wiped away my tears, stood up, and said, I threw it all right." A villainess must know when to advance and when to retreat. Besides, my clumsy scheme being exposed by the male lead, wasn't that just a regular occurrence? I absolutely would never give up. During recess in the hallway, I bought a brand new workbook to replace Ethan's. He was still too shy to accept it. No need to buy a new one. I shoved the workbook directly into his hand, as if to say, "Please just take it." After all, I hadn't written a single word in it yet. Ethan saw me holding his hand and was silent for a moment. I felt something was off about this. Nothing's off. Just consider it me lending it to you to do your homework. You can return it to me at the end of the semester. Ethan opened the first page and held it up in front of me. On the large cover were 3 bold characters. Chloe. Isn't this asterisk your asterisk workbook? He flipped through a few pages, seeing only blank sheets, and looked at me with surprise. You haven't written a single word? Are you planning to have me do it for you? Damn it, I've been exposed. I was silent for a moment, then looked up at the tall boy. Well, haven't you already learned all the knowledge? Who's really benefiting more here? You're definitely taking advantage of me. Ethan stared at me, then suddenly his face flushed slightly. He lowered his head and laughed. Do your own homework. With that, he tossed the workbook at me and walked into the classroom. I stood dumbfounded in the hallway. What's wrong with Ethan? Why is he suddenly laughing? Is there anything funny? Doesn't he have his dignified, people's artist, demeanor anymore? Suddenly, someone tapped my shoulder from behind. I turned around. The workbook had been snatched away. The deadline is next week. Let's see how you're going to handle this, huh? Did you just buy it? The workbook was lowered, revealing Jackson's shrewd eyes. Every villainess needs a good-for-nothing best friend. My best friend is Jackson, my deskmate, and also my neighbor. No problem, I'll take it to the black market. I guarantee someone will finish it for you on time. There's a black market for that. Of course, I've already done half of it. It costs $200 to hire someone to finish the rest. Your case will probably cost $500. As a wicked supporting female character, of course, I'm not short on money. All right then, I'll count on you. I rolled up the workbook and placed it in Jackson's palm, but in that direction, I inadvertently met Ethan's eyes. He was wiping the blackboard. He saw me looking at him, tossed the eraser onto the teacher's desk, snorted coldly, and returned to his seat. I was still wondering why he was acting so weird when the class bell rang. Someone bumped into me. Get out of the way. The voice was ice cold. Ava, carrying a stack of test papers, squeezed between me and Jackson. Jackson was displeased. Who told you to walk past when I hadn't moved aside yet? Ava turned her head and shot him a glance. Then I'll just walk back. She retreated to her original position, then walked around to one side. This time I was shocked again. Jackson stared blankly for a moment, his eyes not leaving her retreating figure. I've never seen anyone with such personality before. Don't tell me you've got a crush on her, do you? Jackson lowered his head and cleared his throat softly. How could I? My ideal type is clearly cute, like you, for example. Huh, me cute, what's wrong with you? I'm your dad. Before meddling in Ethan and Ava's romance, I had a more important matter to resolve: getting my phone back. Towards the end of the afternoon, I invited Jackson to loiter outside the teacher's office. Once the teachers had all gone to dinner, we would pretend to go in and retrieve test papers. Your homework is all done. Jackson showed me his phone screen. It was a chat between him and the black market tutor. This book, didn't you do it yourself? My friend asked me to. Last time, half the book was $200. This time, the whole book is $500, okay? The other party remained silent. Jackson then sent a sticker of a pleading kitten. Please. All right, same spot, huh? You two don't meet in person. Why leave it at the same spot? When you're doing homework for hire, of course, you avoid meeting in person. That's how you keep it discreet. I returned the phone to him. So, does the other person know who you are? Of course. Jackson tilted his head to look at me, a mischievous smirk on his face. I don't mind. My reputation is already established anyway. While we were chatting, I noticed only one young teacher left in the staff room. Jackson and I confidently walked in. Hello, teacher. Our homeroom teacher told us to come get test papers. The teacher didn't pay much attention to us, but the homeroom teacher really hid his phone well. We ransacked the entire desk but couldn't find it. Only the cabinet in the corner of the room remained, just as I was about to open it. What are you doing? Ava stood right at the door. It turned out she was here to get test papers. Jackson lowered his voice and gritted his teeth. Shut up, don't meddle. Ava jutted her chin up, giving a faint smile. I'll tell the homeroom teacher you two are stealing. Jackson glared at her, then took 2 steps back and whispered into my ear. When did you offend her? I whispered back, the other day, her essay topic was pursuing dreams, right? I silently added 3 words to the end, making it pursuing dreams in the entertainment industry. How infuriating. Jackson stepped closer to Ava and cleared his throat. Please, give me some face. Ava gave him a contemptuous glance, sneered, nudged his shoulder, and prepared to walk in. Won't you talk properly? Jackson rubbed his forehead, took a deep breath, then grabbed her wrist and pulled her forcefully outside. After watching the dramatic scene, I turned back to open the drawer. Unfortunately, it was locked. Chloe, the devil's voice echoed from behind. I immediately stood up straight, turned around, and said clearly, "Hello, teacher." The homeroom teacher frowned. Ethan followed the teacher in, looking at me indifferently. Now, Chloe, tell me, what are you secretly looking for? My face flushed crimson, and I stammered, unable to speak. Suddenly, Ethan stood beside me and spoke first. Teacher, I asked my friend to come help me return the key to the storage room. Someone sharply poked my back with a key. I tried to maintain a smile, reaching my hand behind my back to take the key. Yes, I'm returning the key. The homeroom teacher looked at me in surprise, then turned to Ethan. So, what are you doing here? I came to see if she had arrived yet. He scratched his nose. She's very forgetful. The homeroom teacher nodded. That's true, it makes sense. I quickly escaped the office. Turning left into the stairwell, I gasped for breath. After a moment, I realized something was wrong. I wasn't the only one breathing heavily. I looked up and saw Jackson leaning against the wall, his face flushed, breathing heavily. What are you standing there for? I was almost caught by the homeroom teacher. He remained silent. I looked around suspiciously for Ava. Jackson snapped out of it, lowered his head slightly, and pressed his lips together. She left, said she wouldn't tell the teacher. I felt there was something very strange about him. From previous encounters, I knew Ava was incredibly difficult to deal with. Are you all right? How did you convince her? You look like you've been through it. Jackson evaded the question. I'm going home. On the way home from school, I felt my back was still aching, and I couldn't help but mutter. What terrible luck. Couldn't get my phone back, and now I've been bullied too. Jackson suddenly stopped. Who got bullied? Tell me. Actually, I stepped closer to him, looking straight into his eyes. What's wrong with you? Suddenly, Jackson's face flushed. Just then, a cold voice came from behind. Chloe, over here. I turned around and saw Ethan walking towards us. He stood looking at Jackson and me, his face darkened, lips tightly pressed. Are you looking for me? He held out his hand. A white phone rested neatly in his palm. I got your phone back for you. I stared at him blankly. For the first time, I saw Ethan appear more vibrant in my eyes. My heart pounded erratically, restlessly. The strange thing was, my notoriously thick-skinned face felt hot under the twilight. All right, I guess you still have some conscience. I didn't dare to look at him any longer. I blurted out. Earlier in the office, my back hurt terribly from you poking me. What? Wait. I hadn't finished my sentence when a figure lunged from the side. I was stunned. Jackson and Ethan were already clashing. How dare you bully her? Jackson was furious, his eyes bloodshot. You smart students are all useless. Ethan gripped his wrist, a scratch on his face, and looked at me helplessly. It's not that he didn't explain clearly. I stood dumbfounded, thinking, where exactly did I not explain clearly? Immediately after, I saw a stealthy figure, Ava, sneaking into the bookstore. Handsome guys fighting, and she's not watching? Too suspicious. The wicked villainous blood in me boiled. I ignored Jackson and Ethan. You two can keep fighting? I slipped into the bookstore and saw Ava walking around a bookshelf, heading straight upstairs and sitting in a secluded corner. I tiptoed closer to her from behind. She wasn't paying attention to her surroundings, diligently doing homework. Was she trying to surpass Ethan? I stood on my toes, squinting at the book title. Isn't this my asterisk workbook, so that's how it is? I flashed a cryptic smile. Ava wearily rubbed her wrist, stood up to make a cup of coffee. As she turned around, she immediately saw me, her face showing clear panic. Chloe, why? Why are you here? I slowly approached, placing my hand on her shoulder. You don't want anyone to know that a strict, cold class president secretly works for others, do you? Ava angrily stomped her foot. I'm not a lapdog, I just take money. If I take money, I have to work. How can you call that being a lapdog, and you dare to argue? I was infuriated. I stepped closer. It's just one assignment and you wrote it 3 times. Is that fun? Tell me. Ava's face flushed, unable to speak, her eyes welling up with tears. I just like studying, that's all. Then I'll tell Jackson about this. After saying that, I turned to leave. Ava frantically grabbed my arm. No, Chloe. I turned my face to look, pressing her against the bookshelf, smiling triumphantly. Then you have to listen to me. Ava's eyes were moist and resentful as she nodded. While I was gloating over my victory, Ethan appeared, his face bruised. Chloe, you're hiding, he paused, seeing the scene before him. What are you two doing? I immediately straightened up, pulling my hand away. Oh, we were analyzing the forces at play. How do you analyze this pressure thing? Jackson, who had been chasing Ethan, caught up, but upon seeing Ava, his face instantly changed. He turned and fled, not even slowing down when he crashed into a pillar and vanished. Ethan handed me his phone, muttering, I'm better at physics than she is. Ava, are you confused? Ethan gave a forced laugh. No, nothing. Did you say you have farsightedness? The homeroom teacher pushed up her glasses and carefully looked at Ava. Yes, teacher. I've been sitting in the front row for a long time, and my eyes get tired, so I'd like to move to a lower row. Ava rubbed her eyes with her hand, blinking repeatedly. The teacher said, I've seen many students with nearsightedness, but farsightedness is quite rare. So, which row would you like to sit in? Chloe's spot would be fine. The homeroom teacher leaned back in her chair, thought for a moment, then nodded. When Ava walked out of the room, I cheerfully blocked her. Did you say exactly as planned? Did the teacher agree? Ava gave a cold huff and nodded decisively. Of course, I'm a good student, how could the teacher not agree? Don't lump everyone in with you. Excellent, soon I'll be sitting next to Ethan. I can see him every day, read with him in the morning, study together, have lunch together, and leave school together. I've already planned it all in my head. Following the trendy tips online, I'll immediately buy a new bottle of shampoo. A scent that's absolutely heavenly. If my hair just brushes against the back of his hand, that lingering fragrance will surely make him think of me day and night. Just thinking about it makes me unable to suppress my smile. But why are you suddenly switching seats with me? Ava abruptly stopped, a little suspicious. Isn't sitting with Jackson fine? I immediately replied with the exact same sentence she had just said. I like studying. That's all. On the day of the monthly seat change, as soon as Jackson saw his new seat, he cried out to the heavens. Oh my God, who threw me in the front row? Ethan sat down with a cold expression, glancing at me from afar. Ava and I looked at each other in confusion. Did you say exactly what I told you to? Ava scratched her head, flustered. I swear I said it word for word. I looked up to the sky and sighed. Oh my God, you and I are always at odds. Besides studying, you're utterly useless. Ava hugged her book tightly, her eyes full of grievance, looking towards the back in the front row. I took a deep breath. All right, things have come to this, so I guess I'll have to focus on studying. The teacher walked past our seats and suddenly stopped. No perfume in class. If you do it again, there will be consequences. Yes, teacher, Ava and I whispered in unison. Once she was out of sight, I hesitantly leaned closer to my new deskmate. Why does your hair smell so good? Ava turned to look at me, gritting her teeth in anger. You're no different, damn it. It turns out we both secretly learned the same flirting trick online. At the cafe, Jackson handed me back the workbook. Here it is, all done. I took the workbook that Ava had stayed up half a month to complete. Jackson was still muttering endlessly. What terrible luck, who stabbed me in the back like this? Oh my God, I was suddenly moved to the front row, having to face the homeroom teacher every day, reading together in the morning, studying together, resting together at noon, leaving school together in the afternoon. I clenched my fists. All of that should have been mine asterisk. Of course, I wasn't referring to the homeroom teacher. For the past half-month, Ava hadn't bothered to listen to lectures, spending all her time copying assignments for others. I held the workbook in my hand, couldn't help but look up and scrutinize Jackson. What is it? He touched his face. Nothing. I propped my chin on my hand, slowly asking, seriously, does anyone like you? He looked bewildered. Recently, there have been a few. My eyes widened and I leaned back slightly, reluctantly nodding. Ah, I see. What about you? He took a sip of coffee. I lowered my head, biting hard on my straw. Recently, there have been a few. Who? Let me think of their names, huh? So many I can't remember. Jackson took out his phone. I have a list of all the students in school here. The space suddenly fell into an unusual silence that lasted for a full minute. Jackson looked at me with suspicious eyes. I gripped the cup tightly in my hand, slumped onto the table, and let out a sound full of shame. No one, not a single soul likes me. Are you happy now? Are you pleased, you heartless brute? The air around us became absolutely still. Jackson gently patted my back. Immediately, I raised my hand and swung it forcefully. A loud smack echoed. I looked up and met Ethan's gaze. He was standing right next to me, a red handprint clearly visible on his face. Ethan gave a forced, helpless laugh. It seems you really are incompatible with me. My face flushed crimson. Ethan, I didn't mean to slap you. He frowned, taking 2 steps forward. So who were you planning to hit? I backed away, bumping into a chair, creating an unpleasant noise. Jackson stood up, muttered, "Just drop it," and left. Ethan watched him for a long time, then turned and walked away without a word. I sighed in relief. As soon as I turned back, I saw a sponge suddenly appear on the table. Where did this come from? Jackson sat down as if nothing had happened. My new deskmate gave it to me, he said. Where were we just talking about? I looked towards the door, hesitatingly saying, we were talking about how no one pursues me. For the entire class that followed, I felt completely bewildered. The biggest illusion of youth is perhaps, does that hot guy like me? But that's unlikely. He doesn't even help me with my homework. I turned to see Ava not paying attention to the teacher's lecture, but diligently copying practical assignments for Jackson. That's right, this foolish friend is true love. I watched for a while, then snatched her pen. No, I can't let you sink any deeper. You're a potential green tea bitch. How can you become such a pitiful little lapdog? You're no different from a pampered pet. And what's more, he doesn't even pay you any mind, yet you neglect your studies every day. What do you understand? Ava calmly took out an identical pen. Secret sacrifice. No need for reciprocation. I'm already very happy in the process. And do you really think I'm hundreds of points ahead of you, because I diligently listen to lectures? I suddenly realized, so it's because you do the homework too. She gritted her teeth. No, it's because my IQ is inherently higher than yours. I deflated, so that's it, I'm an idiot. Just then the chemistry teacher turned around, his eyes sharp, and slammed the chalk loudly on the table. Chloe, you like to talk a lot, don't you? Go stand at the back of the classroom. The entire class turned to look at me, bursting into laughter. I forced a smile, hugged my test paper, and silently walked to the back of the room. Not long after, someone in the front row raised a hand, a clear voice saying, "Teacher, I'm a bit sleepy. I'd like to stand at the back of the classroom to listen to the lecture." I froze, my eyes glued to the back in front of me. It was Ethan. The teacher even praised him for his good learning spirit. Ethan stood up amidst the class's astonishment, walked through the aisle, and headed straight towards me. I quickly regained my composure, bowing my head to focus on the test paper. Let me see. I turned my face, almost touching his nose, stammering, "Where's your paper?" Ethan seemed completely unaware of our close proximity. The teacher has it. The teacher usually used Ethan and Ava's test papers to go over answers. Now that Ava was no longer sitting in the front row, only Ethan's paper was used. I secretly folded the edge of my test paper to hide my score before showing it to him. Each time I turned a page, I folded it differently. Fortunately, my little trick seemed to escape Ethan's notice. After I finished, he carefully helped me correct the paper. Suddenly, I looked at him and asked, "Are you really that sleepy? Standing here will wake you right up." He tilted his head slightly, a small smile on his lips. "Focus on the lecture." I quickly lowered my head, clutching the test paper. What does he mean? Standing here will wake you right up. Is it because of standing, or is it because I'm next to him? Wait a minute, he has a faint, pleasant scent about him. I subtly nudged a little closer to him, accidentally bumping him and almost falling. Ethan subtly held my arm. "What's wrong?" I suddenly felt foolish. "You smell so good." Ethan laughed awkwardly. Huh, what did you say? Oh no, I messed up. I mean, can you send me the link to buy your shampoo? Ethan was silent for a moment. I'll send it to you later. During the evening cram session, you were punished to stand for the entire class? That's outrageous. Jackson, having just woken up, sat in Ava's seat and began to defend me. Tell me who wronged you. I'll help you get revenge. I honestly replied, Ava. Jackson suddenly froze. It was her, then never mind. She's not easy to mess with. It's best to stay away from her. I looked at him, half believing, half doubting. It makes sense for me to be afraid of her, but why are you afraid of her? Jackson laughed foolishly, looking silly. I'm not afraid of her. She's a good student, don't disturb her studies. He suddenly asked, what has she been busy with lately? I was silent for a moment, then replied, next week she's going to Beijing for a competition with Ethan. The week after that is the citywide choir competition, and right now she's probably practicing piano with a junior from 11th grade. I tapped 2 fingers on the table, pretending to play the piano, then played a 4-hand piece. Ting 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 ting. Very good. Jackson's face immediately went blank. Doesn't she study every day? I quickly shattered his misconception. The lives of talented people are always rich and diverse. Did you think everyone is as idle as us too? Before I could finish, a light blue letter appeared in front of us. Is this Ava's seat? It seems someone else sent her a love letter. Jackson gave the male student a cold glance, then slowly smirked. Yeah. With that, he snatched the letter and dashed to the music room. Immediately, I hastily followed to watch the commotion. Inside, Ava, in a pristine white dress, was engrossed in playing the piano. Near her, a junior from 11th grade in a black suit occasionally stole admiring glances at her. Jackson and I secretly hid outside the window. Wow, that junior is really handsome. Jackson glanced at me, his face darkening. I quickly corrected myself. He's just okay. The piano music suddenly stopped. Senior, there's something I want to tell you. Ava took a bottle of water from the junior, smiling gently. What is it? Immediately, Jackson tried to rush in. I tried my best but couldn't stop him. What are you trying to do? Jackson and Ava's eyes met, and she was a little surprised. Are you looking for me? Jackson gave the junior standing next to her a cold glance. Don't you have something to say? Ah, good luck with your college entrance exam, senior. The junior was very sensible, quickly slipping away. As soon as he stepped outside, he saw me squatting, eavesdropping. Senior Chloe, he exclaimed excitedly. I didn't even look at him, just raised a finger to my lips. SHH? The junior immediately squatted down beside me. Inside, only 2 people remained. Jackson stood in front of the piano, holding out the letter to her. Your love letter. Ava was stunned for a moment. You gave it to me? She was about to reach out to take it when Jackson suddenly pulled his hand back, a cold smirk on his lips. Were you really going to accept it? Thrown off balance by his deceptive move, Ava unconsciously leaned forward, falling straight into Jackson's chest. Her hand accidentally hit the piano keys. A cacophony of notes filled the air. Jackson leaned his hand on the piano frame, looked down at her, and pressed his lips together. Again? I thought you were so busy. I almost blurted out a shout, as if someone had grabbed my hand. Kid, quiet down. Kid what? Suddenly, Ethan appeared right in front of me. Ah! He quickly covered my mouth with his hand. SHH! My eyes widened, blinking rapidly. Why is *key the one on shift? Ethan released his hand but still held my wrist through my sleeve, gently bending down and pulling me along. Chloe, why are you spying on people? Spying? If I looked openly, they wouldn't let me watch, he conceded. Are you really that curious? Don't you have any interest? I stood on my tiptoes, trying to stretch my body to get a clearer view. Moreover, today I just realized that Jackson standing next to Ava actually makes quite a nice couple. I never noticed before, did I? Ethan, his face expressionless, dragged me away. I don't want to watch, and neither do you. He gripped my wrist tightly, walking quickly down the stairs. Ethan, you're so boring. Who are you trying to be? You won't let me copy homework, and you forbid peeking? What am I even living for? In the dark corner of the stairwell, he stopped. I immediately pulled my hand away, intending to sneak back up, but a long arm was faster, wrapping around my waist and pulling me back. Only faint light was visible above. Ethan looked down at me, his eyelashes casting a soft shadow. Listen closely. Do you think they are more interesting? I looked deep into his eyes, my fingers unconsciously clenched, my breath seemingly caught in my throat. I don't think so. Ethan slowly leaned down. At that exact moment, the motion sensor lights on the staircase suddenly went out. Everything immediately plunged into pitch-black darkness. I decided to take a gamble, closed my eyes, and stood on my tiptoes. A low, gentle voice whispered in my ear. Then go home and study seriously. He snapped his fingers, and the lights came back on. Ethan froze. I suddenly pressed my back against the wall, staring up at him for a moment, my face burning, feeling my body temperature completely out of control. I'm sorry. I pushed him away and ran. Ethan snapped out of his daze. Chloe, stop, I'm trying to catch up to you. I ran with all my might, sprinting like a track and field athlete. I know, but please don't chase me anymore, I admit I was wrong. After such an embarrassing experience, I decided I would no longer have anything to do with Ethan. He sought me out a few times, but each time I saw him, I felt like I'd encountered a ghost and immediately ran away. After all, lost love can be found again, but once one loses face, it's hard to ever get it back. I rested my chin on my hand, twirling my pen, and subtly glanced at Ava. Someone once said they would sacrifice in secret without expecting anything in return. How did it come to this? The returns are even exceeding what's allowed. Ava gently cleared her throat. I really was just sacrificing in secret. He had no idea at all. I silently looked out the window, sighing. Actually, I shouldn't bother with you. I'm the one who should be more worried about myself. Everyone's fate is truly different. The person she secretly likes also has feelings for her, while I always find myself in awkward, embarrassing situations. Chloe, the homeroom teacher wants to see you in the office. An ominous feeling rose in my heart. Sure enough, as soon as I walked in, I was immediately met with a storm of anger. Is this your homework? I want to know why the handwriting is identical to Ava's. Is the homeroom teacher really going to make a big fuss over a small workbook? I quickly replied. Yes, she's the one who taught me calligraphy. The homeroom teacher took out an A4 sheet of paper. All right, then write a few characters for me to see. I picked up the pen but couldn't write a single word. Suddenly, a deafening slap on the table rang out. Chloe, have you been bullying other students? Last time, when Ava suddenly changed seats, was that also related to you? I was so startled that I dropped the pen on the floor. Teacher, she changed willingly. I didn't force her at all. A woman in a black dress stood up abruptly, shoving me hard. How could my daughter do such a thing? The homeroom teacher quickly stood in front of me, trying to comfort the woman, then called Ava in. Mom, why are you here? It turned out to be Ava's mother. Mom knows everything. You willingly did her homework. Ava clenched her hands, her face pale. Mom, did you rummage through my things again? I heard that she grew up in a single-parent household with only her mother. Her mother was very strict with her daughter, always wanting her to be perfect. Judging by Ava's expression right now, it seemed to be true. Her mother's face was cold. She let go of Ava's hand and said, You meddle too much in others' affairs. Why did you change seats and even do her homework? Then she turned to the homeroom teacher. There's also a boy named Jackson. Please call him here as well. Ava's face suddenly turned ashen, and she bit her lip, unable to speak. She definitely didn't want Jackson to see this scene. I took a deep breath and stepped forward to shield her. Teacher, there's no need to call anyone else. It was *I who asked Ava to help with the homework. I also told her to change seats. It was all my doing. It had been 3 years. This was the first time I had seen my mother again. Chloe, you really disappoint me. How could you be inferior to that girl, Ava? I told you to compete with her. How did you get caught bullying her? During the rebellious phase of adolescence, parents are the only effective form of control. Between Ava and me, there was a small, secret connection. My mother once had a deep first love, but when she went abroad for work, he betrayed and deceived her, marrying a woman who, according to my mother, was no better than her in any way. That woman was Ava's mother. My mother was the strongest woman I had ever known. After that shock, she decided to stay abroad to develop her career, then carefully selected sperm from the most outstanding man to conceive me. She believed that I had to be better than Ava in every aspect. so she brought me back to the country for my education, but it seemed I had disappointed her again. My mother pressed her lips together, gently removing her sunglasses to reveal beautiful eyes that, however, held a hint of impatience. "Come here quickly, I still have work to do." I adjusted my emotions, gripping my suitcase handle tightly, and quickly ran towards her. "Mom!" In the bustling crowd, English announcements echoed around us, but only my mother and I spoke Chinese. "Mom, I met Ava's mother. Not only is she not as beautiful as you, but she's also very talkative. That means she knows how to manage a household. Ava is very pitiful. Her parents divorced when she was little. Since she was young, she has worked very hard in her studies, practiced piano, learned dance, and even knows a bit about calligraphy. You see, she's so talented, but I didn't bully her, Mom, you know that. But you told me to compete for the boyfriend she likes, and I didn't even win him over." My mother looked at me helplessly, gently stroking my head. All right, she looked straight ahead. Truly a poor judge of character. I dedicated myself to my studies abroad. My high school diploma was accepted by Jackson on my behalf. He told me that Ethan and Ava had been admitted to Tsinghua University and Peking University. Jackson was deliberating between studying in Beijing and going abroad. 3 months later, I went to the airport to pick him up. Heartbroken? Jackson lay slumped in the passenger seat, his face looking utterly dejected, as if he'd lost his last meal ticket. Not heartbroken, it never even started. When I confessed, her family caught us. She rejected me, saying she only considered me a joke. He hastily snatched 2 tissues, indignantly saying, "After this, I understand. From now on, if anyone dares to kiss me, I'll push them away immediately." "Didn't you realize this before?" Jackson remained silent. I, at the wheel, suddenly asked, "Oh, right, that person who always helped you with your homework. How long have you two known each other?" 3 years. Jackson idly scrolled through his phone. "Now that you mention it, I graduated and still haven't met them once." "Then it's definitely not just a joke. Don't be sad anymore. Honestly, studying abroad suits you better." Jackson looked out at the unfamiliar streets, quickly passing by the car window, then switched to a melancholic, tear-jerking song to vent his anger on Ava. For the pain of a blind love, for the wounds of stubborn hatred. I could no longer distinguish if love and hate were like that. Amidst that familiar melody, I suddenly, at an inopportune moment, thought of Ethan. If that kiss had truly happened that night, would I still feel regret now? Or would I miss him even more? 5 years later, I returned to the country. The next time I saw Ethan was at an investor's cocktail party. The party required male and female guests to attend together and had a dress code. At that time, I had just returned, and Jackson was the one leading me to network. As Jackson and I chatted with everyone, we inadvertently ran into Ethan and Ava. I felt incredibly awkward. Ava did too. Only the 2 men next to me seemed to be competing to see who could remain calmer. Immediately, I pulled Jackson away from there. "Did you know we'd meet them?" "I came here because of her. A gentleman's revenge, though 10 years overdue, is still sweet." Jackson swirled the wine glass in his hand, squinting as he watched Ava's retreating figure, then drained the glass. "Back then, I was too naive. Now I want her to know how cruel this society is." I looked at Jackson. A hunch told me he was no match for Ava. "Then I'll take my leave." Jackson grabbed my shoulder, holding me back. "Don't be in a hurry. She has Ethan by her side. I also need a beauty accompanying me, otherwise I'll lose." Dragged along by Jackson, half forced, half pulled, I stood before Ethan. "Hey, aren't you a high school classmate? So dashing, huh? Long time no see, how have you been?" I tried to act natural, reaching out to pat his shoulder. Ethan looked at me coldly, subtly evading my hand, the corner of his mouth slightly upturned. "All right. Damn it, it's even worse now." Jackson stepped in front of Ava, raising his wine glass, approaching her step by step. "Miss Ava, may I offer you a drink? Are you not going to give me face?" Ava took the wine glass, holding it to her chest, looked at him for a moment, then suddenly smiled. "Sorry, I'm expecting a baby." Just then, the sound of a glass shattering echoed. I turned to see Jackson, who had inadvertently crushed the wine glass in his hand, standing frozen, his face rigid, glass shards cutting his hand, drawing blood. Ava also froze, her face panicked. She quickly bent down, using a handkerchief to wipe the blood from his hand. "Mr. Jackson, I was just joking. Are you all right?" Jackson pressed his lips together, looked at her, and said, "I'm hurt." Ava quickly helped him leave. Ethan and I remained, the space suddenly becoming tense. "Mr. Ethan, I'll take my leave." "Goodbye." I turned around, took a deep breath. Just as I was about to walk away, Ethan called me back. "Wait, Miss Chen." Miss Chen, he must be calling me." He looked at me coldly, stepping closer, his voice even, showing no emotion. "Your friend took my girlfriend away. How do you intend to compensate me?" "Wait a moment, I'll answer right away." I hastily bent down to call Jackson, but he repeatedly rejected my calls. "Isn't he injured? Why is he hanging up so quickly? Who is he trying to make aware of life's cruelty in the end?" The man's hand touched my waist, the warmth immediately silencing me. "Then you'll come with me?" His voice was deep and alluring. Ethan gently placed his hand on my waist, walking with me through the crowd. Though young, he appeared very humble, smiling and greeting prominent figures. He happily accepted every drink offered. I, by his side, also drank quite a bit. When the party ended, I couldn't stand steadily, clinging to the hallway railing, stumbling, almost falling. Ethan quickly caught me from behind. "Are you all right?" I leaned entirely against him, my head spinning, unconsciously wrapping my arms around his neck, standing on my tiptoes. Ethan's eyes paused for a moment. He lowered his head, and my lips inadvertently brushed his cheek. He tilted his head slightly, his breathing becoming more rapid. "Hold this for me for a moment, my feet hurt too much." I handed him a high heel. I walked barefoot on the carpet, bending down to take off the other shoe. Ethan, whom I had been using as a support, radiated a terrifying chill. He looked up and sighed. Immediately after, he swept me up and placed me in the car. I don't know how much time passed, but I suddenly found myself lying on a soft cloud, vaguely dreaming of catching fish in a river. I opened my eyes, propped myself up, and looked down to see someone soaking my feet. I immediately sobered up. "Ethan!" I quickly pulled my feet back, placed them on the ground, and rapidly moved away from him. It seemed this was his house. Ethan stood up, took a towel, his voice calm. "Don't you need to dry them?" I sat on the edge of the bed, looking down at him. He wore dress pants, knelt on one knee, dried my feet, put a Band-Aid on the scratch behind my heel, then helped me put on slippers. I intended to stand up. "Thank you." Ethan was silent for a moment, then took hold of my ankle. 5 years ago, why didn't you reply to my message?" He made me sit down. I looked at him, lowering my head and saying, "Which message are you talking about?" He looked up, meeting my eyes directly. "It was the message where you said, 'I love my country.' I replied to you." I was stunned. At that time, I was on a plane. I didn't know you had messaged. After that, I also changed my SIM card. I couldn't restrain my curiosity and asked him, "What did you message?" He lowered his face. "Nothing." My curiosity was immediately extinguished by him. My heart slowly became heavy. "Then I'll leave." Before my feet could touch the ground, Ethan suddenly stood up. He grabbed my leg, traced it along my calf, and pushed me down onto the bed. What are you going to do?" He stopped right in front of me. "Ava and I are just friends, not that close. I brought her out to lure Jackson so I could meet you." "What do you mean?" My heart thumped. He slowly leaned down, touching my lips little by little. "I mean this." "Music."